Watch this until the very end, because what God is scheduling for you in July is not a haphazard splash of blessings. It is a precisely timed cascade of promise, a sequence of divinely aligned moments that were written into your timeline long before anyone doubted your destiny. And heaven wants you to know that every door about to swing open, every relationship about to pivot, every opportunity about to appear, every whisper of breakthrough stirring in your spirit right now has been prearranged by the architect of seasons, the God who declares the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46 minutes and 10 seconds, and crowns each year and each month with goodness, some say 5 So do not mislabel the sudden shifts of July as coincidence, because coincidence is the vocabulary of earth, but providence is the language of heaven. And this month, providence is painting your story in bold colors. That unexpected email, that favor at work, that divine delay that saved you from a hidden trap, even the door that closes to reroute you to the one that was prepared. None of it is random. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28, which means even disappointment will serve you, even detours will protect you, even silence will sharpen you. And the Lord is whispering, I have synchronized July to prove I'm still the God of perfect timing. You thought you were late, but heaven says, you're right on schedule. There is a set time to favor Zion, Psalms 102, banding 13, and you are stepping into it. Watch how long-stalled prayers catch sudden momentum, how resources that once trickled now flow, how conversations you feared will suddenly tilt in your favor, because God is lining up people, places, provisions like dominoes, so that one act of obedience this month will trigger an avalanche of answered prayers. And when it happens, remember this word. It is strategic, not random. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. July is that now, and every day you wake up. Declare over it, nothing today is random. It is written. Watch how that declaration reframes setbacks into setups, delays into divine pauses, closed doors into corridor turns, and do not shrink back when favor feels sudden. You have been prepared in private for this public pace, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, it will surely come. It will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. July is the appointed time, the unveiling. The moment you realize God did not forget the details. He remembered the meeting you missed, the invoice you needed paid, the healing you whispered about, the clarity you begged for, and He wove them all into this month's tapestry. So stand ready. Keep your heart soft and your eyes open, because by the time July turns its final page, you'll testify, nothing that happened was random. Every moment was a line in God's carefully scripted miracle. This month is not unfolding randomly. It's not a cosmic accident or a string of good days finally catching up to you. This is a divine appointment. And heaven wants you to know that every step you've taken, even the missteps, were carried by grace toward this alignment. Because God is not just blessing you in July, He built July around blessing you. And that's why you've been feeling the inner pull, the divine tension, the spiritual contractions that suggest something is about to be born. Something long waited for, long believed for, something your soul recognized before your mind could define it. And it's not because you're lucky. It's because God is precise. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His way. Psalm 37, banding 23, which means the detours that frustrated you were actually recalibrations, and the delays that discouraged you were divine filters to keep you from attaching to something beneath your calling. And now that July has arrived, so has your confirmation, the things that didn't make sense in March, the prayers that felt unanswered in May, the silence you endured in June. They were all loading the breakthrough of July, and the shift won't just be visible in your circumstances. It will start in your discernment. Suddenly, your spirit will be stirred without external evidence. That's how you'll know God is near. Your appetite is changing. Your energy is shifting. Your rest is sweeter. Your boundaries are bolder. Your clarity is sharpening. And you're no longer begging for peace. You're walking in it. Because you're not just entering favor, you're becoming the kind of person who can sustain it. And let us not grow weary in doing good. For in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Galatians 6-9. And this is due season. July is proof that God saw your tears when no one else noticed. He heard your cries when no one else responded. He marked your moments of quiet obedience and delayed gratification, and now He's gathering the pieces, connecting the people, and shifting the entire landscape of your life to match the promise He whispered years ago. And though it may feel sudden, it was always scheduled. And now the people who thought they could define you by your past will be shocked by the way God positions you in this present. Because July is not random, it is reward. And what is coming has your name on it. It won't go to someone else. It won't skip over your house. It won't delay another year, God says. I've assigned this season to your obedience. And the obedience you gave in secret is now creating waves of public transformation. Watch how one message, one door, one connection, one reversal, one yes from God flips your entire trajectory. When the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them, that dream, Psalm 126:1. And that dream is now becoming your reality, not by force, but by favor, not by begging, but by being ready. And you are ready, even if you don't feel like it, because God doesn't wait until you feel strong. He shows up while you're still weak to prove it's Him. July is your proving ground, and it will prove what hell feared all along. You didn't miss it. You were being prepared for it the whole time. You've waited. You've wept. You've warred in the Spirit for things that haven't come yet. You've planted seeds with trembling hands, spoken faith with a broken voice, smiled through storms that nobody saw. And still you've wondered, God, how much longer? But now heaven is echoing back. Not much longer, because July is the month where acceleration meets alignment. And this isn't a random uptick in blessings. This is the fruit of endurance. This is the result of divine orchestration that's been unfolding behind the curtain of your understanding. You see, you thought nothing was happening, but something was always happening. Angels were being dispatched, chains were breaking in silence. Atmospheres were shifting while you slept, and now July is the visible eruption of what's been bubbling. Under the surface, I am the Lord. In its time, I will do it swiftly. Isaiah 60, banding 22. And this is the time you are not behind. You are about to watch in amazement as God fast-tracks what the enemy said would take decades. Because when it's God's hand moving, you don't have to network your way through. You don't have to force your way in. You don't have to beg people to see you. Heaven's acceleration bypasses man's limitation, and suddenly the doors that were locked are not just opening, they're being flung wide. The phone call that shifts your finances, the confirmation that settles your spirit, the introduction that leads to restoration, the healing that skips the process and dives straight into the miracle. This is the month where acceleration overtakes delay, Not because you've earned it, but because you've endured. Not because you performed perfectly, but because you stayed when others walked, for still the vision awaits its appointed time. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Habakkuk 2-3. And now, the vision is running toward you. Divine connections are forming. Divine instructions are coming. Divine momentum is increasing. And don't be alarmed when what once took years starts unfolding in days. This isn't a shortcut. It's a kingdom shift. And God is saying, because you didn't rush the process, I'm about to redeem the time, and you'll see it in every corner. Relationships that finally make sense. Strategies that fall into place. Ideas that suddenly catch fire. Doors you forgot about that now open without knocking, because you're not chasing anything, you're in sync. And July is the collision between your obedience and God's perfect timing. The reaper will overtake the plowman. Amos 9:13. Which means before you even finish planting one thing, harvest will spring up from another. It won't be fair, but it will be faithful. And that's why you've had to endure what others didn't, because the speed at which God is about to move will require a depth they don't have, and you have it now through pain, through pressure, through praise. You're ready for the flood of favor coming in July, and when it hits, you won't drown in pride, you'll swim in purpose, not overwhelmed, but ordained, not confused, but commissioned. And when people ask how it happened so fast, just point upward and say, He did it, and He didn't forget what He promised. You didn't imagine it. The pressure got worse right before this month began. The heaviness came out of nowhere. The anxiety tried to suffocate you. The attacks became personal. The confusion increased, and no matter how hard you prayed or how faithful you remained, it felt like everything was shaken, not because God forgot you, but because the enemy realized July was scheduled to birth something he couldn't stop. And like any enemy who knows his time is short, he panicked, and that panic showed up as warfare. But don't misread it. Your pressure was confirmation. Confirmation that something in the spirit realm shifted. Something invisible moved into position, and the hell you went through was the last wave of resistance before the gates opened. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Isaiah 59:9. Banding symbol. And that standard has now been lifted. And where there was opposition, now there will be overflow. Where there was silence, now there will be clarity. Where there will be clarity, where there was exhaustion, now there will be acceleration. Because God didn't just allow the battle, He used it to reveal that you were standing at the threshold of a divine timeline. And even though you couldn't see what was ahead, your warfare proved that you were walking straight into it, beloved. Think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, but rejoice, inasmuch as you are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that you may also be glad with exceeding joy. 1 Peter 4:12-13. And the joy is coming this month, not because your life suddenly became perfect, but because you won the battle you were never supposed to survive. And now God is saying, you didn't fold, you didn't quit, you didn't numb yourself into silence. You kept walking when your knees buckled. You kept praying when your voice cracked. And now, the pressure that tried to crush you is becoming proof of the oil that's coming from you. July is not just your turning point. It's your confirmation month. The time where God shows you why the storm was so specific, why the enemy targeted your mind, your body, your family, your identity, because what's coming next will require clarity of calling, confidence in obedience, and peace in the middle of abundance. And now that the fog is lifting, Your eyes will open to see that nothing was wasted. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one spiritual battle that left you drained. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Psalm 56:8. And now the book is being opened, and written in July's chapter is breakthrough fulfilled. Because what looked like spiritual warfare was actually birthing pain. And now comes the arrival, the confirmation, the prophetic release that doesn't just restore what was lost, but redeems what was stolen. And it won't be quiet, it will be loud, visible, public. A table set in the presence of those who watched you suffer, a door opened in plain sight. And when it happens, you won't have to explain it. Your peace will speak for itself. Your joy will speak for itself. Your stability will speak for itself. Your discernment will speak for itself. Because July is not random, it is response, heaven's response. To your consistency, your posture, your sacrifice, your tears, and now the shaking is over, the storm is clearing, and the release is being sealed by fire. God says, the warfare was real, but so is the reward. You've been thinking it was just about you, your healing, your waiting, your wilderness, but God is revealing in this hour that the breakthrough scheduled for July isn't only about your preparation. It's about the divine alignment of people and places around you, so the blessing He's releasing can land where it belongs, because a miracle isn't just about timing. It's about environment, and God never releases favor into chaos. He releases favor into order and what's been happening behind the scenes, even without your knowledge, is a divine arrangement of rooms, people, conversations, and connections that will make sense only after the door opens. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Proverbs 16:9. And now the steps are not just yours. They include people you haven't even met yet. People who are waking up with your name in their spirit. People who are about to bless you without a full explanation. People who don't even realize they're being positioned by God to receive you, support you, partner with you, open for you. And yes, it may have seemed like nothing was happening, but what felt like delay was actually divine choreography. God was not just working on your heart, He was preparing hearts around you, clearing out Judas-type spirits, exposing wrong alignments, removing parasitic partnerships, and raising up destiny voices who will now speak into you without manipulation, competition, or agenda. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. James 1:17. And part of that gift is relational clarity. And this July, expect a shift in atmosphere. The place you used to be tolerated, you'll now be celebrated. The room that used to feel cold will now carry prophetic heat. And it's not because you changed to fit it, it's because the room was reformed to receive you properly. And while the enemy tried to convince you you were hard to love, too intense, too spiritual, too broken, God was saying, no, you're not too much. You were just never meant to pour oil where dishonor lives. And now He's making room for your anointing. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Proverbs 18:16. And that room is opening now. And when you step into it, you'll feel the ease, the confirmation, the divine flow that tells you, this was prepared for me, and I was prepared for this. And it won't just be new people, it will be new atmospheres, rooms filled with peace instead of pressure, places where your gift doesn't shrink, conversations that don't drain you, divine spaces where you are poured into, not just pulled on. And all of it is confirmation that God didn't forget the details. He knew what needed to shift around you before He could release what He planned for you. And July is the month where the environment catches. up to the prophecy, where the spiritual temperature rises to match your calling, and where what was once misalignment becomes momentum. And when you feel it, when you feel the room turn, when the peace comes without forcing it, when the connection clicks effortlessly, you'll know. This is not random, this is where the promise lands. This month isn't just about receiving blessings with your hands, it's about reclaiming peace in your heart. Because what God is releasing in July is not just breakthrough in the natural, it's internal restoration so deep that the very way you process your life begins to shift. You're not just stepping into new places, you're stepping into new peace, the kind of peace that silences the noise inside, the kind that reteaches your nervous system safety, the kind that makes you breathe deeper and slower, because you no longer feel like you're in survival mode, because for too long you've lived in mental warfare, in emotional exhaustion, in soul fatigue, smiling publicly while battling silently, building forward while grieving behind the scenes, choosing healing even while your heart still carried bleeding fragments of betrayal, abandonment, fear, disappointment. But now God is saying, this month, I'm not just blessing your life, I'm healing your insides, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4-7. And that's what's happening now. Your heart is being guarded, not by walls, but by divine peace. And this time, you won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. The peace is real, not circumstantial, not temporary, not just a break from chaos, but a new rhythm of emotional stability that marks the beginning of your next season of wholeness. And don't be surprised when you suddenly cry for no reason, when you suddenly feel the ache leave your chest, when you finally sleep through the night, when you feel a new softness in your soul. It's not emotional weakness, it's spiritual release, because you're being delivered from the lie that you had to carry everything alone, that you had to always be strong, that you couldn't rest until you fixed everyone else. And now the Father is saying, let me carry what was never yours. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. And this is your rest month, not laziness, but holy stillness, where your spirit exhales, your mind declutters, your soul comes back home. And when this happens, don't rush it. Let the softness grow. Let the healing happen in waves. Let the laughter come back naturally. Let the fear lose its grip slowly. Because this peace is not a detour, it's part of the blessing. You were never meant to walk in promise with panic, or carry purpose with anxiety. And July is the moment heaven says, you're free now, not just to move forward, but to move freely. And even your thoughts will feel different. Old memories will lose their sting. Intrusive thoughts will lose their voice. Future fears will lose their power. Because God is not just answering prayers in July, He's resetting your emotions to believe that you are safe in His plan. And that's the kind of freedom that no bank account, no relationship, no achievement can buy. It's the kind of freedom that comes from knowing that God is holding you together even when everything around you shifts. And July will remind you of this truth. The true miracle is when peace finds you before the breakthrough even finishes arriving. This month isn't just about receiving blessings with your hands, it's about reclaiming peace in your heart. Because what God is releasing in July is not just breakthrough in the natural, it's internal restoration so deep that the very way you process your life begins to shift. You're not just stepping into new places, you're stepping into new peace. The kind of peace that silences the noise inside. The kind that reteaches your nervous system safety. The kind that makes you breathe deeper and slower. because you no longer feel like you're in survival mode. Because for too long, you've lived in mental warfare, in emotional exhaustion, in soul fatigue, smiling publicly while battling silently, building forward while grieving behind the scenes, choosing healing even while your heart still carried bleeding fragments of betrayal, abandonment, fear, disappointment. But now God is saying, this month, I'm not just blessing your life, I'm healing your insides, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4-7. And that's what's happening now. Your heart is being guarded, not by walls, but by divine peace. And this time, you won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. The peace is real, not circumstantial, not temporary. Not just a break from chaos, but a new rhythm of emotional stability that marks the beginning of your next season of wholeness. And don't be surprised when you suddenly cry for no reason, when you suddenly feel the ache leave your chest, when you finally sleep through the night, when you feel a new softness in your soul. It's not emotional weakness, it's spiritual release, because you're being delivered from the lie that you had to carry everything alone, that you had to always be strong, that you couldn't rest until you fixed everyone else. And now the Father is saying, let me carry what was never yours. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. And this is your rest month, not laziness, but holy stillness, where your spirit exhales, your mind declutters, your soul comes back home. And when this happens, don't rush it. Let the softness grow. Let the healing happen in waves. Let the laughter come back naturally. Let the fear lose its grip slowly. Because this peace is not a detour, it's part of the blessing. You were never meant to walk in promise with panic, or carry purpose with anxiety. And July is the moment heaven says, you're free now, not just to move forward, but to move freely. And even your thoughts will feel different. Old memories will lose their sting. Intrusive thoughts will lose their voice. Future fears will lose their power, because God is not just answering prayers in July. He's resetting your emotions to believe that you are safe in His plan. And that's the kind of freedom that no bank account, no relationship, no achievement can buy. It's the kind of freedom that comes from knowing that God is holding you together even when everything around you shifts. And July will remind you of this truth. The true miracle is when peace finds you before the breakthrough even finishes arriving. Asterisk, this is the month you won't just survive, you will testify. Because everything that tried to bury you is about to become proof that God was building you, and everything you thought was delayed, denied, or dead is about to stand up in resurrection power as undeniable evidence that heaven was never late, never silent, never confused. July is not just a month on the calendar. It is the turning point of your entire timeline. It is the chapter that rewrites the rest of the story. The place where the drought ends and the oil flows. The moment when all the waiting becomes weighty with purpose. And the people who watched you in struggle will now witness you in glory, not for pride, not for revenge, but so that the testimony of God's faithfulness will be heard louder than the rumors of your suffering. You crown the year with your goodness, and your paths drip with abundance. Psalm and Amplima banding sablas. And this month is being crowned not just with small breakthroughs, but with holy exclamation points that close the chapter of lack, fear, insecurity, and confusion. And it's not because of what you earned, but because of what you endured. God says, I saw you stay when it hurt. I saw you sow when it didn't make sense. I saw you serve when no one noticed. And now, I'm about to put honor on your head and oil in your hands, and what begins this month will not just bless you, it will bless everyone attached to your name. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to bless all the work of your hands. Deuteronomy 28:12. And your hands are ready now, not trembling in anxiety, but steady in obedience, not clenched in fear, but open in surrender. And what God is placing in them now is bigger than what you thought you had lost. The recovery will outweigh the grief, and even the areas you forgot to pray for will begin to blossom. Because this month is not random. It is restorative. It will redeem time, restore confidence, revive relationships, and refresh your spirit. And by the time the month ends, you will look back at every battle, every fast, every lonely day, every sleepless night, and realize it was all leading to this. The text message, the open door, the sudden call, the contract, the diagnosis reversed, the yes you didn't expect, the favor you didn't see coming, the clarity that makes it all make sense. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. And this isn't just your restoration, it's your crowning, not with man-made titles, but with divine glory, the kind that cannot be revoked or reversed, the kind that says, God did this. And when they ask how it all turned around so quickly, so beautifully, so completely, all you'll be able to say is, this wasn't random, this was God all along. And July will forever be known as the month where your process met prophecy, where your war met reward, where your pain met purpose, and where your heart finally said, this is the month God marked for me, and I'll never forget it.